Welcome back to the channel, dear listeners. Tonight, we dive into a tale that touches on family dynamics, cultural clashes, and the explosive drama that ensued when wedding plans went awry. The story is titled My Fiancé Demanded My Sister Stop Using Skin Brightening Cream for Our Wedding, and the Family Drama Exploded. This is a story that will keep you on the edge of your seat as we unravel the events that turned a joyful occasion into a battleground of emotions and beliefs. So, sit back, relax, and let's begin. My fiancée doesn't like skin brightening cream. She never uses it, but she also doesn't usually say anything about other people using it either. So I was surprised when she told me she didn't want my sister to use it for our wedding and asked me to convey the message. My sister always uses skin brightening cream for any big event, especially if she's photographed, so I know she's planning on doing so for our wedding. My fiancée said she hates skin brightening cream and doesn't want the use of it immortalized in our wedding photos. She said my sister should understand because this is a small family event and the photos will only be seen by our close family and us. She said it's not unusual for brides to have requests about the wedding party's look. She would know better than me, so I agreed. Asking my sister didn't go over well. My sister was furious and said I had no say over her skincare routine. She said she'd use whatever products she wanted, and if my fiancé had a problem with that, she could uninvite her. My fiancé said fine, but then my sister won't be a part of the wedding party or in the photos. My mom and sister are furious about this decision and don't want to work with me at all, telling me to get my wife under control because she's being ridiculous. I would think my sister would want to make us happy on our special day and be willing to compromise, but did I ask for too much? Clarification: the cream changes your skin so that you look fair, more like a white person than a brown one. It isn't makeup. It fades over time, so you need to keep applying it, and it can make you sick. My fiancé hates it because she's seen it give friends and relatives skin conditions and other illnesses, and because women who use it say women who don't are ugly. My fiancé thinks we should be proud of our brown skin because our race has accomplished so many things. That's why she didn't want its obvious use in our photos. My fiancé wants my sister to not use it for a month. You are the idiot. Your fiancé sounds incredibly unreasonable and controlling here. Is this the only thing she's been like this over? Assuming your sister isn't painting her face like a straight-up clown. It's none of your fiancé's business what she puts on her skin. The amount of insecurity it takes to avoid being outshone in photos is incredible. You need to spend some time reflecting on whether you want to deal with this long term, right? Like, I assume skin brightening works similarly to a spray tan. I do a spray tan all the time before big events, especially when I'm going to be photographed. It would be weird and unreasonable if someone didn't want me to for what appears to be no logical reason. You're the idiot, Opie. Not only for agreeing with your fiancé's unreasonable request, but also because of your last sentence. I would think my sister would want to make us happy on our special day. Full stop. That's manipulative. Disagree. I think Opie needs to make it really clear that when you're saying a skin brightening cream, you mean a fairness cream. I think that really changes the concept because it involves colorism. I hope you don't mind me asking, but are you South Asian? I am, and I know the craze around fairness creams. Like fair and lovely, and the culture surrounding lightening your skin is poignant and gross. I see why it makes your wife uncomfortable to have people bleach their skin around her. Generally, but especially if she's a darker skin tone herself. With the context, I think not the idiot. Sister's not saying she thinks brown people are ugly by using this cream. If anything, she's just saying she doesn't like how she looks and wants to change herself. If a natural brunette lady dyes her hair because she doesn't like herself brunette, that's not some huge message that she thinks all brunettes are ugly. I'm going to treat this as any other moral choice, e.g. veganism. It's one thing to choose a life for yourself and another to force it on others. OP, you're the idiot. Update: after talking to my fiancé, we've decided to just uninvite my sister. Her beliefs are our own and not really any of our business. But why would we want someone who thinks women who look like my fiancé are ugly to be at our wedding? It just doesn't make sense. I always saw it as a personal choice, but it's more than that. By using that cream, my sister's saying to the world that she thinks brown women are ugly. And while that's sad for her because she is one, it isn't my fiancé's problem to deal with. So, we just won't have her there. No one should be told on their wedding day that they're ugly. I was with my ex for about 7 years, never married, and we lived together for the last 4. We broke up 3 years ago. She has a 21-year-old son, Shane, who's now going to college in a town I've since moved to that his parents don't live in, about a 6 hours drive. We've moderately kept in touch since the breakup, mostly just when he reaches out to me. I would have preferred a clean break from both him and his mom, but I have a hard time totally shutting people out. I've not seen Shane in person since he was 18. Anyway, I got married last year and welcomed my first child a few months ago. This will be my first Christmas with my wife and child. Shane was going to visit where his mom lives now for Christmas, but due to a pending storm, it's uncertain if he will be able to travel there. He called me last night and asked if he could spend Christmas with me. I definitely got caught off guard and told him while it was good to hear from him, it'll be my first Christmas as a whole family and I would prefer to keep it to just us and maybe her parents who will stop by later. Shane was very upset and told me I was replacing him. I tried to reason with him that this happens when adults move on. I said we could still keep in touch, but I wanted Christmas just with my family since it's our first one. He hung up and then later sent me a long text saying some not super nice things. My wife is glad I said no, but at the same time says she empathizes with how he feels and I should apologize but not necessarily have him over. But she would support me if that's what I want. Am I the idiot for not wanting him to come over for Christmas? Edit. Shane's father is active in his life. He's just out of town. I had only met Shane a few times until he moved in during his high school years. He was very active in sports and extracurriculars, so he wasn't actually home that much for us to spend time together. Their moving in was supposed to be temporary after his mom got laid off, and it dragged into their staying longer. His mother was very adamant that Shane had a father, and she didn't want me to attempt to parent her kid. While he lived at my house, he was basically an adult roommate. We got along well, but it was never a father-son type relationship. Yikes, dude. You are the idiot. He was your stepkid for basically 7 years. He's stranded for Christmas. Would it seriously hurt you if he came for Christmas? I'm grossed out by this, not gonna lie. If virtually anyone with whom I have a stable relationship asked if they could come to my house for Christmas, I would say yes, because it's Christmas. So you're obligated to keep in touch with someone for the rest of your life? Just because you were around for their formative years? I think it's highly inappropriate to keep in touch with the children of your exes, especially if you don't have an emotional attachment to them. You can't keep staying in their lives just to spare their feelings. Opie has his own feelings and the feelings of his own family. The young man mentioned in the story has a father, so it's not even like Opie was his only father figure. Disagree. Opie's an idiot. You either make a clean break or you let him be part of the family. You basically choose neither, and this is why you have this issue. You should have told him you were no longer a part of the family as soon as you signed those divorce papers. It still would have hurt a lot, but that's the proper way of doing things. Not just because it's inconvenient for you now. The only good thing is he's an adult now, and this will give you the clean break you wanted. Even if it was the absolute worst way to do it. 24, female, live with my girlfriend, 25, and a roommate, 23, female. We share a 2-bedroom apartment and have lived together for 2 years now. Up until now, we've gotten along pretty well. My roommate has an elderly cat. The cat is honestly kind of mean. She doesn't like my girlfriend or me and will run away if we try to pet her or pick her up. So we just avoid each other. My roommate asked if we had cats before moving in because she said her cat doesn't like other cats. We didn't have any pets at the time, so it worked out. However, we did tell her that we might want one someday, to which she said we'd have to revisit the issue if it came up. Well, my girlfriend and I have gotten to a place where we really want our own pet. We saw a kitten at the shelter and fell in love with him. We got the okay from the landlord and brought him home last week. His name is Banana Pudding. Our roommate is furious with us. She told us that we were aware that her cat doesn't like other cats. I told her honestly that it was unfair of us to tiptoe around her cat and that we were allowed to have our own pets as long as the landlord was okay with it, which he is. She couldn't expect us to never get a pet or to cater to her cat's needs 24/7. The conversation ended there. Unfortunately, things have escalated because her cat hisses and swats at banana pudding just for existing. She's honestly pretty aggressive, which is a big issue in my opinion. Our kitten is very friendly and sweet and causes no problems. We asked our roommate to keep her cat in her bedroom since she's elderly and aggressive. She refused and hasn't been speaking to us. She says we're huge idiots and even got some mutual friends to take her side. If her cat is so aggressive and uncomfortable, it's her responsibility to live alone. It's gotten so bad that my girlfriend is crying and considering taking the kitten back to the shelter. Here I am to get an outside perspective, because I don't know what to think now. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. You can't just show up with a kitten and be all, your cat has to stay in your room now. What kind of narcissism is that? The older cat was there first, and your roommate warned you that he didn't like other cats. Instead of having any conversation, you just brought home a kitten and now expect an elderly cat to be confined to one room for the rest of his life. You are most indeed the idiots here. That cat deserves to live out his life in peace. And if you want to keep your kitten, you better go find somewhere else to live. Your roommate has every right to be angry and you're out of line. Also, you're an idiot for not properly introducing the kitten to another cat and vice versa, which could be a large part of the problem. And the spontaneous adoption, they sound so immature. The older cat is not mean just because it doesn't like to be picked up or petted by you. It's a pet with its own preferences, which is completely normal. You're not a good pet owner. His name is Banana Pudding. It sounds like you wanted a cuddly toy because it's cute. Both cats are living beings with emotions and territory. This place is their home, which you've turned into a place of stress and danger for both of them. Oh, and when Banana Pudding loses an eye, you have no one to blame but yourself since you put that poor kitten in that situation. Same with the elderly cat. It deserves to roam too. Update. My roommate and I have talked. I apologized to her for being selfish and ignorant and for putting her cat in an uncomfortable situation. She forgave me and said she'd be happy to help do a proper introduction between the kitties. She said that if we do things slowly and carefully, her cat might be able to accept Banana Pudding. For now, our kitten will be staying in our room for the introduction process. She also taught me a little about cat body language and guys. Her cat came and sat in my lap. She even purred. My roommate is a very kind and forgiving person, and I'm very thankful that she chose to forgive me after I was such a huge idiot to her. I think things are going to work out. Thanks everyone for your advice and criticism. My boyfriend, 33, and I, 29, female, have been living together for the last year and a half, together for 2.5. A few months ago, my boyfriend had his blood pressure measured, and it came back ever so slightly high. He's a very healthy weight for his height, tall and thin, but muscly from work as a diesel mechanic. But high blood pressure is no joke, so he decided to try to clean up his diet a little. I do 90% of the cooking at home. By choice, he does dishes and vacuums, so this isn't an issue. And I genuinely cook on the healthier side. I'm only 5 feet 3 inches and slim and athletic, so I focus a lot on healthy proteins. So we eat a lot of proteins and veggies, and I like to play around with different sauces and things to make it interesting. I feel like the meals I make set a strong foundation for an overall healthy lifestyle. My boyfriend loves my cooking and always brags to his friends about what we eat. Suddenly, my boyfriend decided he doesn't want to eat salt in the things we eat at home at all. I can't work with that. We've never used salt excessively in our diet, so asking me to cut a healthy amount from our meals just seems ridiculous. I do too much cardio and strength training and don't want to have a sodium deficiency, because my boyfriend suddenly decided we can't have salt in breakfast or dinner, meals we eat together. I brought that up to him and he suggested salting my food separately, which, fine, but we all know it doesn't taste the same. Cooking our food in separate pots or for me to supplement in other ways, like Gatorade. This is where the issue comes in. I would be perfectly happy to make these accommodations if I felt like it would actually help, but he's constantly snacking on high-sodium snacks, like chips and pretzels and frozen egg rolls, and I just feel like it's unfair to ask me to change how I salt our food before working on cutting out some of his unhealthy eating choices. He's gotten to the point where he feels disrespected if I cook for both of us and use salt, and he'll refuse to eat or do the dishes if I tell him I've salted the food. I think he's being a baby and refusing to stop salting our food. We're at an impasse. So, am I the idiot? I feel like the salt content in our food is not going to be the change. He needs to reduce his sodium content because he's snacking around 6 to 8 times a day. Not the idiot. Pretzels? Come on, man. It's a little salt block. A delicious salt block, but still. The high sodium snacks are the issue, not your cooking. My dad developed high cholesterol when I was a kid and was told to cut out red meat. So, the whole family cut out what little red meat we were eating. Lo and behold, we discover that dad's just eating red meat for lunch at work instead. So, that was the ends of the whole family making the change, because why should we, when he won't help himself? Pretty sure an actual salt lick has less sodium than frozen egg rolls. He just needs to cut the junk food first. A woman in my family went through this. She changed the meals for the whole household and started packing the guy lunches that fit with the dietary recommendations. Went to a lot of effort and expense, getting all their food in line with the doctor's orders. No one was happy about it, but it was necessary for this guy's health. One day she went out to his car to get something and noticed a bad odor. So, she opened the trunk and discovered he'd been dumping his lunch bags in there every day. When confronted, he confessed he's been going out and eating lunch and would have a big satisfying meal, so he didn't have to eat much of the healthy food at dinner either. Basically, it sounds like your boyfriend is saying that he wants to put all the work for this on you instead of him. Make him cook his own dinners. He's eating salty snacks and complaining about your cooking. He can take care of himself. When he cuts out the healthy snacks, you'll resume cooking with compromise. 23 female, went shopping a few days ago and my fiancé wasn't supposed to be there, but he kept insisting we had things to talk about, so we showed up. When I was going to pay for my items, he gave me his card and told me that he would take care of it from now on and I shouldn't spend my dad's money anymore. Things are rocky between my fiancé and dad, which is why I think he said it, but the entire thing rubbed me the wrong way. I pushed his hand away and told him I didn't need him to pay for my things, but he ignored me and paid anyway. I was mad, so I asked him what he was doing and told him to stop being an idiot. He told me I was welcome and to stop making a scene. I kept bringing it up and telling him he was being an idiot, so now he's annoyed at me and saying things like I need to get used to not living under my dad's thumb anymore. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Hate to break it to you, but your fiancé thinks of you as a possession, not a person. He wants to ensure that you know you belong to him, not your father. If you don't like that feeling, try paying for your own things occasionally. I encourage you to seek financial independence. Are you sure you want to be engaged to a guy who needs to be right and in charge, to the point that his power plays steamroll right over you? I find it disturbing that he said he would take care of it from now on. Does he expect you to be totally financially dependent on him and unable to take care of yourself so you can never leave? Is he trying to isolate you from your family? Red flags. Yeah, your fiancé sounds overbearing and controlling. Why is he insisting on joining you when you said you wanted to shop alone? And heads up, financial control and abuse are a real thing. Make sure you are financially secure in your own relationship so you aren't relying on him or your dad. Good luck. And that, dear listeners, is how a simple wedding request led to an unforgettable family confrontation. If you are intrigued by this tale and want to hear more stories of family conflicts and resolutions, be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever experienced a family drama that took you by surprise? Until next time, remember, the bonds of family are strong, but communication and understanding are key. Welcome back to the channel, dear viewers. Tonight, we explore a tale of marital discord and familial expectations that has left one woman questioning everything. The story is titled, My Husband Demanded I Become a Stay-at-Home Mom, and Now We're on the Brink of Divorce. Join me as we uncover the events that turned a joyous expectation of a new family member into a battleground of values and identity. So, sit back, relax, and let's dive into this heart-wrenching story. Okay, I already know it sounds bad, but 35 female, and my husband, Jeff, 37, are currently expecting a boy, his first child, my second. I got pregnant with my first when I was 18, and his dad was never in the picture. I work as a substance abuse counselor, and I love my job. However, this is where it gets tricky. My job offered me 8 weeks of PTO for when I have our son. I was so happy because I didn't want to return to work right away. Jeff and I got together when I turned 30, and he moved in with me because I own my house. We just got married this year and have talked about childcare multiple times, so he knows I don't want to be a stay-at-home mom. Well, I'm due in November, and he just brought this idea up. I was baffled because we've already talked about this, but I guess my mother-in-law and sister-in-law believe I should stay home with our son as a mother and a wife. I just don't understand where their opinions come in because I already know where they stand. Both stayed home with the kids. All three of them sat me down to have this talk, and they wanted me to focus on the kids, cleaning up the house, making dinner, and all of that. But I already work and do those things. Well, mother-in-law decided to throw it in my face that I never got to be a stay-at-home mom because I was a single mom going to school and working, which she's not wrong, but it made me angry that she brought it up. I told them that I work so hard to give my son a good life, and having another baby doesn't change my decision to keep doing something I love, and that if they all want someone to take care of the house and kids all day, Jeff should be a stay-at-home dad because I make more money than him, and it would make more sense for him to stay home instead of me. It turned horrible after that. I got yelled at by mother-in-law and sister-in-law that it's not his role as a father to do those things, and that he's the man of the house and should be the one making money. Jeff just stood there not saying anything, and I blew up and reminded all of them that it was my house, not his. I kicked mother-in-law and sister-in-law out, and Jeff was so mad at me that he went with them. He said he won't come back till I apologize to all three of them. So, am I the idiot for not wanting to be a stay-at-home mom? Nope, not the idiot. Opie, you make more, it's your house, your in-laws are dinosaurs, and your husband just proved that he doesn't have your back. Bonus, here's your to-do list for tomorrow. 1. Change locks. Number 2. Make an appointment to see a family lawyer about custody, parenting time, and child support in your jurisdiction. 3. Research them on the internet in the meantime. 4. Resolve that none of those 3 people gets back in the door unless they provide you with a fulsome, sincere apology. Sorry about the marriage, Opie. I hope it was fun while it lasted. The thought of my husband bringing my sister-in-law and mother-in-law into my house to tell me what to do with my life, especially after discussing exactly what I want, makes my blood boil. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. Please reevaluate your relationship with Jeff and whether or not his value systems are compatible with yours. Do you want your son to be taught this drivel about how he needs to grow up to be the man of the house? Do you want the rest of your life to be cooking, cleaning, and taking care of the children for Jeff? Because presumably, he won't lift a finger to help you, because that's not his job. Because that's what's going to happen if you stay with this man and let him and his family treat you like this. Please be compassionate to yourself and your children and realize that you deserve far better. My vote is for the husband set up mother-in-law and sister-in-law to deliver this message. And he didn't do it with the goodness in his heart of having the baby have a stay-at-home mom. He did it so Opie would take care of him like his mom used to. Flags. Flags everywhere. Update. It's currently 1:15 a.m. and Jeff just called me. He informed me that he cleared out our joint bank account and deposited it into his account. Bill money, savings for future trips, and grocery money that he's been thinking. And the only way he'll come home is if he can be responsible for all the finances. And I put his name on the house too. I said absolutely not and hung up. I've already reached out to my boss, and I'll be working from home via virtual meetings. I'll be calling and talking to attorneys tomorrow morning to see what my options are. I didn't let Jeff know I'd be home, so I'm sure he'll try to stop me. Where I live, real estate developers have started snatching up family homes, bulldozing them, and building enormous $2 million houses on plots of land. Unfortunately, the houses also stick out horribly in terms of aesthetics. Think single-level brick homes with 3-level gigantic white and black boxes in the middle. My home's been in the family for several generations. We've always been known for having a large, beautiful garden. We invited over kids to help with gardening. We gave away so many veggies. We'd hold parties, etc. It's been a neighborhood treasure for years. Until developers snatched up the lot next door, bulldozed it, and erected an enormous house that blocked the light to most of the garden. Many of us tried to fight it with the city, but everything was denied. It was heartbreaking. Our neighborhood has been changed forever. This was a link to my family, and I almost have had to go through a grieving process for it. The new owners moved in, and were not welcomed warmly by the people in the neighborhood. I avoided them for as long as possible. Other than politely waving or nodding, it was a young couple in their early 20s. We finally came face to face, and the woman asked if we could chat. She said she felt like maybe they'd done something wrong when they moved in, or if they weren't pulling in their trash bins or something, being too loud, etc., because people haven't been friendly. The guy says that he's surprised, considering it felt like a nice and somewhat affluent neighborhood. And given the price, he was expecting friendly neighbors. I asked if they had done any research about the area. They said that they moved from California, so no. I said that maybe that was their mistake. They said they didn't know what I meant, so I asked if they've ever looked in our backyard. They said yes, and they said they thought the garden was cute. I said yes. The garden that now has about half the sunlight than before your house was built was a neighborhood treasure. So the guy said, well, it's not our fault you built the garden there, is it? I said, well, you guys got what you paid for, $2 million for a house that everyone in the neighborhood hates. So I said I hoped it was worth it and wished them a nice day. When I told another neighbor about the exchange, she told me that she felt bad for them moving without knowing what they were getting into. Am I the idiot for telling them they got what they paid for? So you unloaded your pent-up anger at the developers, on the couple, who unwittingly bought the house. You are the idiot, OP. That couple did nothing wrong. They bought a house on the market. Now, if they had been the ones to buy the house or land from the previous owner, bulldoze it down, and then build their million-dollar mansion, you might have a leg to stand on. But from what you say, the neighborhood is taking out their frustration and anger on an innocent couple. Yeah, but I do get why he'd be angry if instead of, oh, we're sorry, we didn't know about your garden, they decided to go with, it's not our fault you built your garden there. When it comes to this kind of mega home, I agree, but I also think places need to change. This is why most grad students live in someone's attic. Many old communities completely boycott any affordable housing, even as the population doubles or more. Mega homes for the rich don't help either, but I dislike the people who want their neighborhoods to stay the same forever, just as much. OP, they bought a house. Did you research the neighborhood? Is your garden a big thing so well known it's in the papers that those people could know about it without talking with the neighbors before moving in? And specific talks. And even then, they didn't design the house, just bought it. It's not their fault, and you are being angry at them as if it is. Also, if the size of your neighbor's house affects how you act, you might want to seek therapy. You take the cake today due to treating people like crap because they apparently stole your sunlight and you're big mad about it. These people likely had no idea about your garden or what was there before the house they bought was there. It's not their fault that the house was built there. You want to be mad? Be mad at the real estate developers. That's the actual bad guy here, not the people who bought the house. I can't believe this became a conflict. With the weather being so nice, I decided it'd be nice to have a fun little dinner party. So, I invited everyone and their SOs if they had them. One of the SOs is Rick. I've always gotten along with him just fine, but he's one of those guys who tries to make the most bizarre things into his entire personality. The biggest one is that he's a huge garlic guy. He's one of those guys who makes a huge deal out of how he uses 400 cloves of garlic in a dish. I don't eat garlic. I have GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease, from purging. And unfortunately, my biggest triggers are alcohol and garlic. I'm okay with cooked onions. For some reason, in the past 2 years, my sensitivity to garlic has actually gotten worse. So, I didn't use garlic in the dishes I made. Not a huge deal, right? I have a pantry full of other spices, and I'm not shy about using them. We were eating, and I got some compliments on the food. It wasn't anything special, but Rick said he liked it, but felt the food was missing something and asked how much garlic I used. I said I don't eat garlic, so I didn't include it. He scoffed and was like, how can you not use the most basic ingredients in most meals? That's why it tastes like this. He made a big exaggerated face and put the food down. He then asked why I'd have a dinner party if I had such a limited palate, and that he wouldn't have people over for Thanksgiving dinner if he was a vegetarian. I said, I have GERD, dude. Garlic triggers it. He pointed out that I was drinking alcohol. I said yes, I was in fact drinking one hard seltzer that I had flattened, and that these are the only alcoholic beverages I can drink, and that I also had one just in case my body changes its mind. He and I went back and forth until his girlfriend, the one who actually is my friend, told him to chill. Rick got louder and was laughing like, come on guys, am I really the idiot here? With his hands out. One of the other guys said it was a little weird, but not a big deal. Anyway, it's a month later, and Rick still won't drop it. Instead, he insists that it was an idiot and selfish hosting move to drink the alcohol, but not cook with the garlic, because garlic goes in everything. So, now I'm curious, and thought this would be a fun low-stakes question for you all. Am I the idiot? Why are you friends with this monumental idiot anyway? Someone whose entire personality seems to be about one tiny thing? Who thinks he's the food police? I'm a very keen cook, and garlic is inappropriate for many, many, many dishes. Not the idiot, of course. I'm also curious, doesn't he stink 24/7? Opie should still invite him, but serve him garlic. Only garlic, several whole roasted garlic bulbs, and nothing else. Is that enough garlic for you now, Rick? And make sure you get a vampire costume for Halloween, for his benefit. Rick needs to get his garlic addiction under control. It's affecting his relationships at this point. If my ex so acted that way, not simply expressing a preference for garlic, but telling the host it was rude to omit it, I would be mortified. No joke. Possible grounds for breaking up, because who behaves that way? Not the idiot. Open and shut case. My best friend and I have known each other since we were like 3, and we've always been super close. She's the first of us to get married, and I'm so happy for her, and was happy to be asked to be her maid of honor. However, she and I were not expecting her fiancé to consider my ex a close friend now that he's his groomsman. We knew that they kept in touch after I broke up with him, but we had no idea they were friends. What's even worse is that my ex is using this as a way to try and force his way back into my life. She warned me when she found out, and I agreed to one night out with all 6 of us, my best friend, her fiancé, and their bridesmaids and groomsmen. I was paired with her fiancé's brother, the best man, and my ex with her sister, a bridesmaid, but he would not stick around her sister at all. He kept coming over to me. He tried to get me to take him back, and he joked that we should just go and hook up. He touched me a few times, and I had to brush him off. He was just intense. Our breakup happened a little over 2 years ago. We worked together for 5 years, lived together, had talked about marriage and babies, and then I heard him mock me to his friends and say disgusting stuff like I was so boring as a person, but at least my body was good so he could drown out the rest of me and just focus on my looks. He mocked me for being sensitive. He also mocked that I had low self-esteem from my childhood relating to my family and told them details only he and my best friend knew. My best friend asked her fiancé if there wasn't anyone else. He told her that the 2 of them got so much closer in the last 2 years and that he truly considers him his closest friend now and so on. He said we should be able to deal with being around each other for a few hours. She asked if there was anything she could do to make it easier, but I can't be around him like that. I can't even have him following me around and trying to win me back. He humiliated me. He said things that I never would have expected out of him. He got 5 years of my life, and he treated me like that. We agreed that I should just pull out of the wedding. My best friend is so upset, and she's upset with her fiancé. He's now angry with me, and he told me I should have sucked it up for my best friend and followed through on being her maid of honor, because it meant so much to her. He told me I was being petty and I should be able to ignore my ex for the sake of my best friend. I do feel bad. I hate doing this, but I know I'd feel trapped in a nightmare if I had to deal with my ex throughout the wedding. There's no doubt in my mind that I would be miserable. She knows this too, which is why we agreed, but I hate doing this to her. I always dreamed of being her wedding. And now, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. The groom prioritizes his friend over his bride's happiness, and he's trying to get you to suck it up. He could have chatted with your ex and told him. His behavior was unacceptable, and if he tried to get close to you, he'd be dropped. But he preferred pressuring you so he could have what he wanted. I'd tell your friend that her fiancé is trying to pressure you, as that would be a red flag to me. Not wanting to be touched and harassed by a creepy ex-boyfriend isn't being petty. What the heck is wrong with this guy? Also, you did ignore your ex, but it didn't stop him from harassing and touching you against your will. And ignoring your no. What else was he expecting you to do? Also, does he want drama at his wedding? I hope your friend realizes who she's about to marry. Yeah, I think you need to step away entirely. And if the ex is continuing to harass you, look into a restraining order. Good luck to the bride. Her fiancé sounds like a real charmer too, being that he knows the history and still allows this. I, 20 female, am currently 30 weeks along. I live with my parents and pay rent, utilities, and other essentials. Ever since I found out I'm pregnant, there's been a lot of tension in the house. And it feels like my parents' marriage is getting worse because of me. When I first found out I was pregnant, my dad flipped his lid because I wasn't married and because I didn't know who the father was. My mom defended me for most of his crap throughout my pregnancy and was very supportive but very disappointed in my dad for his behavior, and it's been ruining their marriage. Last week, my dad demanded I move out, and I refused since I paid rent and mom doesn't want me to move out. As usual, mom defended me, but they had a big fight. I'm feeling like an idiot since I'm ruining my parents' marriage over this when I could move out, but I don't know where to go and need my mom's support. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. You're an adult. If you want to have a baby, that's fine, but there's no reason to expect anyone else to support your child. Babies are loud and disruptive. Your father's done raising his kids, so why do you expect him to start over to raise yours? Not the idiot. You are not ruining your parents' marriage. Your dad is. Your mom is finding out your dad's beliefs around unwed or single mothers. You getting pregnant and having a child has not ruined your parents' marriage. However, your dad's behavior is. I'm really glad your mom is being so supportive, and I hope this situation resolves in whatever way it needs to. You have to prioritize your well-being and the well-being of the baby. Your dad's behavior affects your emotional well-being and your unborn babies. However, he feels it's not important as you and this child, but I'm pretty sure you have some clue about the baby's dad. You might have to pay for some paternity tests, but you need to find out who it is and make them contribute. Don't let him off the hook. I don't know if you want to know who the father is, but your child has the right to know and to be financially supported. And that, dear viewers, is how a deeply rooted disagreement led to a rift in what seemed like a stable marriage. If you are captivated by this tale and want to hear more stories of family conflicts and unexpected revelations, be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Share your thoughts and similar experiences in the comments below. Have you ever faced a situation where family expectations clashed with your personal values? Until next time, remember, staying true to yourself is crucial. And welcome to our channel, where we dive deep into the complexities of family dynamics and the power of standing up for what's right. Today's story is a powerful testament to courage and resilience in the face of rejection. It's titled, "My Mom's Husband Rejected My Sister for Coming Out. I Told Her to Stand Up to Him and She Did." Join me as we explore this emotional journey of acceptance, self-love, and the strength to confront prejudice, even within our own families. When I was 18, my mom remarried my stepdad, who had a baby girl, and we became as close as any sisters as she grew up. I'm now 34, and she's nearly an adult. Last week she got outed at school, and to make a bad situation worse, her dad was mad at me and said she was lying for attention and called her names when she said it was for real. She came over to my apartment, distraught and looking for some advice. I'm a lesbian and have been out for years. I told her I was so sorry that happened, which was crappy since she deserved to be able to decide who to tell and when. But she wasn't the only one outed. Her dad, he just outed himself as a bigot. He outed himself as someone who should never have become a parent if he wasn't ready to love and accept his own child. And her school administrators outed themselves as negligent, probably even in the legal sense. But overall, when I come out, I often out other people way harder than I out myself. It can be hard, but it can also feel empowering to take a torch to the darkness, light it for all to see, and burn it away. Just by being in the room and letting people tell on themselves, we're outing idiots. So I let them talk and then go tell whoever I darn well please. I let them become known as ignorant as they choose because that's a lot worse than being known as queer. I told her it was horrible her story was taken from her, but I hope that she knew it wasn't taken forever. It's her right to say as much or as little to whoever she wants. And if someone gossips, they don't know her heart. They reveal their ugliness. So don't let it eat at you. So document and record it if you want. Share it if you want or keep it just in case. But whatever you do, it's all your call. It always is. We talked well into the night, and she was feeling way better afterward and ready to go home and face her dad again. Well, shortly after she went home, my mom called me. She said that my sister had come home and told her dad that they should agree to disagree about her issue and anything further he had to say about it spoke only to his character. And when he tried to argue, she took out her phone and started filming and saying, "Do tell you had a child and weren't ready to love it. Get a dog if you want something that'll come back begging when you heard it." My mom called me furious because she thought I'd coached her on what to say, which I genuinely hadn't. I told her what advice I'd given, and she was angry. I even said that much and asked me if it would have killed me to say that I think your dad loves her and to give him some time to understand. I was irate to hear that, honestly, because what she said was heartbreaking and it hurts to hear my mom and stepdad didn't listen. Am I the idiot for the advice I gave? Not the idiot. Your advice was quite wise and your sister was tough to respond that way to her dad. I would remind your mother and him that love is not what you say. It's not what you feel. It's what you do. Your stepdad demonstrated clearly that he doesn't love his daughter. No amount of words will fix that. He needs to look deep and decide how to act going forward. Your reply is spot on. Sometimes parents have a hard time adjusting to their child's life looking different than they pictured it, and they might not initially be as warm and accepting as they should be, but you can tell they're trying. Unfortunately, this is not any of those. He wasn't trying. He was yelling and scaring her and rejecting her. It is 100% on him to apologize and fix this, pronto. It's not an OP sister to give him time when he's a raging idiot. The mom's response infuriated me as much as the dad's. Your mom is victim shaming, and that's not okay. Your dad's atrocious behavior is nobody's fault except his own. How much time does it take to understand I like girls, not boys? It isn't rocket science. Also, he loves her? Well, if this is how he typically expresses it, nobody needs that kind of love in their life. Yep, mom is in denial about the type of person she married, or she sees nothing wrong with his behavior and is trying to downplay it. Not the idiot. And Opie, if this is a new discovery about your mom, I'm so sorry. This is really stupid. But my girlfriend, whom I've been with for 2 years now, has been a vegan for a few weeks now. I've supported her and her transitioning into it, but I love meat. She doesn't mind me eating meat when we're out with friends or by ourselves, and rarely talks about it on the way back, although she's a little distant. Lately, though, she's been expressing how it's making it hard for her to see others enjoy meat, while she's trying her best to commit to a lifestyle change, and that if I could try dropping meat for a week or two, she can get more solidified in it. I told her no, and that I have no problem with her being vegan, but I'm not going to give up meat as well. If she wants, we can stop going out to restaurants with friends and together to help her. She got angry at me, saying how she doesn't need to put her social life on hold and stay indoors all day because I won't make this compromise for her. I tried to explain that I wasn't trying to limit her freedom and she can go wherever she wants, but if we're going together, most chances are I'll order meat. She's being very distant and angry at me lately, and my friends are telling me I'm being manipulative. Am I the idiot? Edit. I just wanted to add my girlfriend does not have any health issues that I know of, nor did she bring it up in the conversation about her transitioning or our argument. I really don't know if I can go a day without eating meat. It's my comfort food, and I've been stressed like crazy. I know it's a bad addiction/craving, but it's not the only thing I eat. I do eat fruits and vegetables, but often I just want a ham sandwich to just calm down. I don't know why, but I audibly laughed at I just want a ham sandwich to calm down. Not the idiot Opie. She has a self-imposed dietary restriction. It's not a health issue that needs solidarity. She can go be a vegan on her own time, and pushing others to follow is the exact part of veganism everyone complains about. You are the idiot. As you wrote, she asked you for just a few weeks, and it shows you don't care enough about her and her wants for a better lifestyle. I'm not saying you don't care, but that's just how this looks. She isn't asking you to make a lifestyle change just for you to help with hers. I'm sure you can find other things to eat so she won't feel like she's being punished. Sometimes we make sacrifices for the people we love, and 1 or 2 meals that don't include meat won't kill you. I'm 99% sure she's also using this to ease you into becoming vegan. It's just 2 weeks. Turns into, that wasn't so bad, was it? Why stop now? You're both adults. Her choosing to become vegan is her decision. You choosing to eat meat is your decision. Her trying to force you to be vegan is being an idiot. She said she doesn't want to put her social life on hold, but what's her plan when her social life friends are eating meat? Does she plan on forcing them to stop too? I was a vegan for a year. I didn't force anyone else to stop eating meat. I, 37 female, am married to my husband, 38, and we have a daughter together, tween. My daughter is very small for her age and sometimes gets treated like a younger child. She loves to hop up in my or my husband's lap and cuddle with us on the couch or in a chair. I've thought that maybe she may be too old for that sort of thing, and maybe I'm hurting her by letting her continue. Yesterday, she tried to hop in my lap and cuddle, and I told her she was too old for that and to get off me. She got really upset, got off of me, and went to her room and slammed the door. She hasn't tried to get in my lap since, and things are tense between us. She doesn't talk to me unless she has to, and when I hugged her good night last night, she didn't hug me back. I feel really guilty because I obviously hurt her feelings, but I feel like she might be too old to sit on my lap. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. She's not going to want to cuddle with you much longer, so you maybe have a year left and you're throwing that time away instead of cherishing it. Now she doesn't feel like or isn't comfortable hugging her own parents. What a terrible shame and sad thing to do to your own child, Opie. Yeah, she no longer has a year. It's over. Opie, you handled that terribly. You made her feel like she's done something wrong. Many people sit on their parents' lap at all ages. I've seen full-grown adults do it. She's a child. No wonder she's upset with you. How did you tell her? Did you literally say, "You're too old, get off of me"? Because if you literally told her to get off with no warning, it's no wonder why she perceived that as a rejection and is now completely confused as to what sort of physical affection is okay and what'll get her snapped at. Opie, there is no age limit for parental affection. I'll start holding her when I'm too big for my mom's lap. My 16-year-old still curls up for snuggles. I'm 35 and my sister's 38. We still jokingly get in my mom's lap and cuddle. What the heck, Opie? Your kid obviously loves you. Shows you love through cuddling up with you guys and feels comfortable. What you did by saying this basically makes her feel embarrassed and bad about showing you guys love. Yikes. You should feel guilty. My sister, 21, and me, 18 female, always fought when we were little. She never wanted a sibling, and I didn't necessarily want her to be my older sister either. My parents tried to make us get along but stopped after a couple of years, realizing that there was no point. I've been obsessed with getting straight A's since I was a little girl. I only hung out with a few friends and spent my free time studying or playing sports throughout high school while my sister struggled in school, hung out with the wrong people, and got into some very bad stuff. This didn't make her a person, but it made her make some very dumb decisions. One of her dumb decisions led to my nephew, who's now a toddler. I put aside my differences with my sister and have a fantastic relationship with him. I babysit him all the time and come to play with him while my sister sleeps. She works overnights. My issue is that my parents and sister want me to give up my car to her so that she can have a safer car since hers is old and keeps breaking down. My car is something I worked my butt off for and I really don't want to give it up. My parents bought it for me as a birthday gift since my grades had been so good throughout high school and I got into a very good college. I spent countless nights staying up till 3 a.m. studying and I gave up on time with my friends and boyfriend just so that I could keep my grades up. So honestly, I view this car as my baby and a product of my hard work. My sister and her boyfriend have been texting me all week about it. She's been telling me it's only fair since I was the reason our parents never paid attention to her, and just because I got good grades doesn't mean I deserve the car. She told me I'd be putting her son in danger if I kept making them drive their unsafe car. My parents told me it was completely my decision, but I felt they wanted me to give it to her. I know they most likely can't afford a brand new or even slightly used car now, especially since they're going to help pay for half of my college. I understand she needs a safer car, but it isn't my responsibility to provide it for her. As I said, I worked so hard for it, and I'll be left carless if I do let her have it. I want my nephew to be safe, but shouldn't that be my parents' job, not mine? It is unfair for her, but she chose to live that life, and putting the blame on me just feels wrong. Just because I got good grades doesn't mean I deserve the car. Literally the reason you have the car. Some people. Not the idiot. It's not your responsibility to fix the consequences of your sister's bad decisions. I think your sister and her boyfriend are idiots here. They're expecting you to trade your hard-earned car for her crappy car that you'll have to sink money into every time it breaks down. This is not your responsibility to make her feel better about being ignored by your parents. She's manipulating you, and allowing her boyfriend to text you is just the manipulator of cherry on top. If I could tell you from the experience of having a screwed-up sibling who got every chance under the sun, I was expected to suffer for his mistakes. Don't trade it. Don't allow her to guilt you. Don't allow yourself to dwell on it. Do graduate college. Do continue to have a relationship with your nephew. Your sister may try to leverage him against you. Expect it and just continue on with your success. Your parents are stuck here and likely don't want you to trade it, but your sister's probably a monster about it. My goodness. My sister has been texting me all week about it, and her boyfriend too. If you have time to text me, you can find a good enough job to get a newer car yourselves. She's the one who's choosing not to get a more reliable car within her own means or working on getting to those means. Stop looking at the car as the reward for good grades. The real reward is the schooling and scholarship you'll get from good grades. The car is just the icing on the cake. Yeah, at 21 years old, if she's adult enough to be a parent, then she's adult enough to figure out how to get reliable transportation without crying to mommy and daddy to force a sibling to give her their car. Heed my words. Do not give her your car. You do, and your sister will walk all over you for the rest of your lives. If she needs one that badly, she can save up or get a loan from the bank. Not guilt trip you just for existing. My wife and I had our first child a few months ago. My sister lives 2 hours away and has seen my daughter once. My wife, kid, and I made plans to travel the 2 hours to visit my sister. I thought this would be a good opportunity for my sister to visit with my daughter, and we'd go out to eat. My sister has 3 dogs who are her world and have free reign in her place, much to my chagrin at times. They're allowed on the couch, in the kitchen, and everywhere. I visited her and not sat on the couch because I don't want dog hair on me. We've had family vacations where she brought her dogs. Everything had to be dog-friendly or centric, and I didn't enjoy that trip. I've passed on future vacations. There was no point in trying to talk her out of bringing them, plus I didn't want to spend my vacation with her dogs. When we arrived, I knocked, heard the barking, and told my wife to hold off bringing my daughter inside until I knew the dogs were in another room. Sister opens the door, greets me, and says come inside. I asked whether she minded putting the dogs in another room. She pauses, goes absolutely not, and looks baffled that I would even request that. I told her I wasn't ready for my daughter to be around 3 dogs. It's only for about an hour, then we're going to lunch. After a bit of back and forth, she obviously won't put the dogs away. I just say, all right, I'm gonna head home. I help my wife put my daughter in the car and start to leave. The whole time my sister was flipping out, saying what the heck. She says she didn't even get to see her niece, says I'm an idiot, etc. So after 5 minutes at my sister's house, we drove the 2 hours back home. I had 24 texts and phone calls from her that I didn't acknowledge. So was I the idiot in this situation? You are the idiot. Why would you go to your sister's house if you don't like dogs? Of course the dogs will have the run of the place. It's their place, not yours. Sure, your sister could have been more accommodating, but she didn't have to. And now you're ignoring her after you were so rude to her. It sounds as though your sister considers her dogs to be family. She clearly loves them and treats them well. She wants them to be comfortable in their home. That's their business in their home. You're absolutely allowed to not like the dogs and not to want to be around them. But you don't get to dictate what someone does in their home. You get to do things however you want in your home, just as your sister gets to in her home. You are the idiot. Disagree. An infant's immune system is not developed. I can see him not wanting to bring a newborn into a hotbed of allergens. Also, a bit unsafe to introduce a newborn baby to 3 unfamiliar dogs with no newborn experience at all. I grew up with dogs, and whenever someone came over, baby or no baby, we'd put them in the yard, in the front room or in one of the bedrooms, until everyone was situated and comfortable with the dogs being introduced to the situation. What I don't understand is why Opie never mentioned this to his sister before the 2 hour drive to her place, or just went ahead and met her for lunch at a safer place instead. If I were his wife, I'd be livid about the whole mess. So clearly everyone's the idiot here. Yeah, what the heck is going on here? Opie made a mistake by not sorting this out ahead of time, but the sister had a chance to see her niece and declined. I love dogs and cats and pigs and goats, but animals are dangerous. Being a parent is scary, and it doesn't sound like Opie had reason to believe these animals had any history with infants. It sounds like both sides were wrong, and there's some history here. Hopefully being siblings is important enough for them to reconcile soon. Thank you for joining us on this heartfelt journey. It's stories like these that remind us of the importance of standing by our loved ones and advocating for acceptance and love in every corner of our lives. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring tales. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stay strong and keep. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's story titled Unveiling Betrayal, My Wife's Secret Life. This tale takes us through a journey of trust, deceit, and unexpected revelations. Here is another story that was sent by a listener. This happened to him about 2 years ago. As he says, let's go. I am 51 and my wife is 50. I am a foreman for a large construction company here in North Carolina. And my wife works as a manager for a large clothing store in the mall. I was married for 19 years, just 2 years ago. My marriage ended and I walked in on my wife with someone I never knew existed. She never displayed any red flags. I had access to her phone. I had access to her computer, and she had access to mine. When she did girls' night, and yes, she did girls' night, but she always had her phone location turned on and always came home at a reasonable hour. I wasn't really big into social media, but she was and used it mostly to advertise discounts at a store. We don't have any kids together, but I have one son from a previous marriage. My first marriage ended because my ex-wife was an undercover meth head, but I quickly recovered from that marriage and moved on with my life. And then I met my current wife at another store she was managing at that time. I struck up a conversation with her. And from then on, we started dating right away. And we've been together ever since. About 2 years ago, I came home from work and my wife was already home, which was surprising because I usually got home before she did. But the strange part was she was on the computer. And when I walked through the front door, she quickly closed her PC. Now in the whole time we have been together, she has never done that, never. But I didn't dwell on it. I just thought it was odd. Fast forward 2 weeks, my wife calls me at work to tell me she is going out with a couple of her girlfriends after work. She has always done this. And I told her I would just see her at home later. She didn't get home until almost 3 a.m. And I let her have it. I was so angry. We got into a huge argument, and my angry feelings toward her lingered well into the next day. She apologized later, and I accepted her apology and didn't think anything else of it. A few weeks later, I was at home just relaxing from work, when my wife comes walking through the door, telling me she had a bad day at work. She had to fire an employee, which upset her. I was sympathetic and just tried to listen as to why she told me the reasons she had to fire one of her employees. This woman was actually one of her assistant managers, and she had to fill this job rather quickly. Until then, she had to take on her job and told me some days will be way longer than others, to which I told her I understood. Fast forward a couple of weeks, and my wife's schedule has changed drastically. She is getting home later from work and seems to be a little stressed when she comes home. I got off work one day a little early and went to the mall where my wife's store is. But by chance, I run into the young woman my wife supposedly fired. I have seen her face in the store at times and made small talk when I was visiting my wife. We started chatting, and she tells me that she enjoyed working for my wife, but my wife didn't want to pay her more money. She was essentially doing my wife's job. She told me on a few occasions my wife left work early to go hang out with her girlfriends. So she gave her a 2-week notice, but then she started giving me certain time frames of when my wife left early to go hang out with her girlfriends. Turns out my wife lied to me each time. Basically, her manager was covering for her. I was surprised she was telling me this. Maybe because she had some type of vendetta against my wife, but it caught my attention. After our conversation, I went to my wife's store and didn't tell her the conversation I had with their former employee just around the corner. After hanging out with my wife a bit, I drove home only to be thinking about what this woman told me about my wife leaving her store early and being dishonest about it. Lots of things were going through my mind. Why would she be dishonest like that? Well, when she got home that evening, we had a long sort of heated discussion about those time frames. She basically came back with, she didn't want to be out too late, so she had her employee cover for her, and she was drunk a few times. That night led to a dead bedroom. As a matter of fact, that dead bedroom lasted a few weeks before I really started to notice a huge shift in my wife's behavior. My wife started going to the gym all of a sudden, and she didn't invite me. And I only found out that she had a gym membership because she left work early, and one of her employees said that's where she went. It was beginning to feel like my wife was becoming a totally different person. She never kept anything from me. Never. Fast forward a few hours, my wife came home from the gym, but she wasn't wearing gym clothes. And I didn't say anything to her about me visiting her store and me knowing about her new secret gym membership. My wife gets home and doesn't say one word to me, didn't even ask me how my day was, nothing. She just goes to the shower, and I am left in the living room, not really sure what is going on. She didn't come back out of the bedroom, but her phone was on the kitchen counter. I picked it up, and it immediately asked me for a password. That's when I knew something was up. The fact that she is leaving work early, a sudden gym membership, and a password on her phone. She's never had a password on her phone. Fast forward a week, and my boss tells me that I need to go to Charlotte for a bid on an upcoming project in that city. He said he will pay me for the travel time, etc. So before I tell my wife, I asked my neighbor, who is an older guy who is retired from General Motors, to keep an eye on the place for a couple of days. He agreed, and for someone in his 70s, he knows his tech. So he gave me some recommendations on some indoor cameras and where to put them. I have always wanted cameras, but never got around to installing them. But this was a perfect opportunity to install some, since I would be gone for a few days and my wife will be home by herself. Well, that night I told her I will be leaving for a few days. It was a Wednesday night, and I would be back Saturday for sure. Then she says to me, "Why are you leaving to go bid on a job?" I said, "My boss doesn't have anybody else to do it besides him, but he is already bidding on another job." Mid-morning, I leave for Charlotte. My wife had already left for work, and it takes me about 3 hours to get to Charlotte. When I got there, went to the hotel, checked in, and sent my wife a text to let her know I made it there. It was strange. She was giving me a play-by-play of her every move, but she didn't know I had cameras outside and inside, including the bedroom. My wife and I texted each other for most of the night and even FaceTimed each other. The cameras didn't show anything, but She was on her phone quite a bit and moving around the house, but nothing suspicious. At 11 a.m., I get an emergency phone call from my boss. He needed me back because another one of the workers had an emergency at home. So I told him I could be back as early as this evening. I did not tell my wife I was coming back a day early. I would be getting back early enough to take her out to a nice restaurant. So I head back home, and when I get there, it's just getting dark. My neighbor's car is gone. His house is dark, but I can see from a distance there is a car in my driveway parked behind my wife's car. I stopped. I didn't pull all the way up. I parked a few hundred yards away from the house. I went to the side door of the garage, used my key, and opened the door gently. And when I went into the garage, there it was, a man's voice in my house, laughing with my wife. I waited, grabbed the axe that was right next to the door. There were a few minutes of silence. Then I hear them walk upstairs to the bedroom. When I heard them make it to the bedroom, I open the door to the inside of the house, take off my shoes, and walk up the stairs. My heart is pounding, and all of a sudden, they both start making sounds. The door to the bedroom is open. I peek my head around, and there they were having sex. I stood there for a good 60 seconds before the guy noticed I was there. He says, "Oh shit." My wife screams. I am not a small guy. I am 6 feet 2 inches, 250 pounds, and a little overweight. This guy wasn't going anywhere, at least at the moment he wasn't. My wife is saying, "Please, please." At that moment, I raised the axe I have in my hand and told them both, "Get the fuck out." When they left, I just sat on the couch, just in a daze of what happened. Once I was able to calm down, my wife starts blowing up my phone and I blocked her. I called my brother and told him what happened. He was at my place within 30 minutes. My brother said to me, "Let's get you out of here." I packed a few things and went to stay at my brother's place. Then my wife started calling my brother, but he ignored her calls. The next morning, I go to work and spill my guts to my boss. He was floored and told me if I can't work, he would understand. I told him I could work, but would need some time to take care of this mess legally. Fast forward a week, I gathered the footage from the cameras, hired an attorney, and my wife was served at the house. I have not seen her since that night. 2 months later, at the divorce hearing, my wife had an attorney and their attorney was trying to get alimony out of me, as well as trying to get the house to herself. But the judge said that based on the evidence in front of her, she forfeited that with her infidelity. The judge called it marital misconduct. I have never even heard of it. After everything was said and done, she did not get any alimony. She didn't get any of my retirement, but she will get half of the assets we own in the house and about 20% of the equity in the house when it's sold. Unfortunately, the judge allowed her to stay in the house. I told the judge I didn't want to stay there. I had a place to go. About 4 months later, the house was sold. I took my material belongings and she took hers. I have never seen or heard from my ex-wife since the divorce hearing. My brother said he was at the mall one day, walked by her store, and my ex-wife was talking to a customer. She sent me a letter one day to my brother's place. He called me and told me. I told him to tear it up and throw it in the trash. It's been 2 years since that happened and I am still torn up about it. I am surprised I let that guy walk out, but I just couldn't do it. Stay tuned to hear the shocking details and remember to like, share, and subscribe for more